Hello, universe. Welcome to my world. We do Angelina Jordan videos, and we go off in all different directions. And today, we're looking at the inspiration of her inspiration. In other words, Angelina Jordan herself talks about who inspired her. Here she is, as a very young child, talking about her original inspirations.
Så fant jeg fra YouTube, og så kom det masse artister. Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday.
Today, we're looking at what inspired Billie Holiday. And Angelina Jordan, even more recently, reconfirmed the role that Billie Holiday has had in her career.
By Billie Holiday, my all-time inspiration.
But let's get some background. Let's hear from Billie Holiday herself. We're not going to pay any attention to the tragedy of her life, but we're going to focus on her musical genius. Here she is being interviewed at the age of 41. And here, she's already not well, but she is responding to the very simple question, what is jazz?
What is jazz?
Well, to me, jazz is good music and a good feeling. And I'd like to say that everybody can play jazz. And no one person originated it. No one person created it. I think you just have to have it in you. Feel it, in other words.
You concur with our guests thus far, then, that jazz must be tied in pretty closely with improvising.
That's right.
And one of Billie Holiday's major inspirations from the generation before was Bessie Smith. She was a blues singer, and she laid the groundwork for what Billie Holiday would eventually do. And both Billie Holiday and Angelina Jordan both have used Louis Armstrong as an inspiration for their understanding of music. Let's hear from Billie in her own words what she thought of Louis Armstrong.
You have a most unusual style. Everybody says that. How did you develop it? Did it just come out of the thin blue?
I always wanted to sing like Louis Armstrong played. I always wanted to sing like an instrument.
Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans and miss it each night and day?
And here we can hear the rich, rich texture in Louis' voice when he sings, and how this is something which has been passed down to Billie Holiday and then to Angelina.
If I never ever met, I'll be rich as a fella with gold at my feet on the burning side.
And Billie Holiday even very specifically mentions a moment with Louis Armstrong when he is doing a scat duet with a clarinet. This is very inventive.
Yes, yes, but
Billie Holiday was discovered in 1933 in Harlem, at the age of 17, and she was discovered by the legendary John Hammond music producer. He happened to have also been instrumental in the career of Bruce Springsteen and Count Basie and Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. And here he is, some 45 years later, talking about Billie Holiday.
It was only around the age of 20 or so that you first heard Billie Holiday.
She was 17 and I was 22.
22. Yeah. What did you hear that said to you, I have to let the rest of the world know about this?
I heard a singer who was an improvising horn player.
Horn player?
Yeah, well, that's how she sounded. She would take a pop tune, sing it at each table, and she'd sing it entirely differently every time she opened her mouth. She couldn't help it. She
Was she styling herself after a horn player?
Oh, sure, no question about it. And
Any specific horn player?
Well, I think she liked Louis in the old Hot 5 records originally.
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong. And it was so wonderful when Prez finally got to New York in 1936.
Lester Young.
I mean, Lester Young. I mean, this was, and I knew, you know, that these two would make music together that was unprecedented.
And John Hammond himself has this wonderful quote where he describes what he thought of Billie Holiday's music. Her singing almost changed my music tastes and my musical life because she was the first girl singer I'd come across who actually sang like an improvising jazz genius. So in 1933, age 17, when Billie Holiday arrived, this is what she sounded like, and these were some of her breakthrough performances.
An elegant 17-year-old strode across the speakeasy, commanding the attention of every last table. And then she began to sing.
You don't have to have a hanker to be a broker or banker. No, sirree, just simply be my mother's son-in-law. Ooh, what a little moonlight can do to you. You're in love, your heart's a-flooding all day long. You only stutter 'cause your poor tongue just will not utter the word, I love you.
Please don't talk about me when I'm gone, though our friendship ceases from now on. And listen, if you can't say anything real nice, just don't talk at all, that's my advice.
And of course, Angelina Jordan and Billie Holiday overlap quite a few songs. Probably their most famous overlap is Angelina's performance, age 7, on Norway's Got Talent of Gloomy Sunday. And virtually every performance, you can hear the total inspiration that Billie Holiday has provided for her.
Sunday is gloomy, my hours are slumberless.
Sunday is gloomy, my hours are slumberless.
And next when we hear I'm a Fool to Want You by Billie Holiday, it was originally written by Frank Sinatra. And Frank Sinatra also says that Billie Holiday was a massive inspiration for his musical career.
I'm a fool to want you. I'm a fool to want you. To want a love that can't be true. A love that's there for others too.
I'm a fool to want you. I'm a fool to want you. To want love that can't be true. A love that's clear, hard is true.
They also have both covered Summertime. It was originally written in 1935 for Porgy and Bess by George Gershwin. And Billie Holiday's performance we'll hear is from the year after, from 1936. It definitely sounds very 30s. But Ella Fitzgerald did a version, and that is the one that Angelina Jordan used as her source of inspiration when she performed it on Norway's Got Talent, aged 8. And it's very subtle, but when they both sing the word cotton, it doesn't sound like cotton. It sounds more like the word curtain, especially when Angelina sings it.
Summertime, and the living is easy. Three short jumping, and the cotton is high. and your ma is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
And the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high.
And the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the curtain is high.
And finally, we get to one of Billie Holiday's iconic songs that she is most remembered for, All of Me. This is the only song that Angelina Jordan has covered, which is featured on the soundtrack of the two Billie Holiday movies. In 1972, Diana Ross sang All of Me in Lady Sings the Blues. And 50 years later, for the next generation, the Billie Holiday biopic, U.S. versus Billie Holiday, Andra Day sang All of Me as well.
All of me, why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I want to lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them. All of me, why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I want to lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them.
Next, we'll hear Billie Holiday's version of All of Me, which is the inspiration for Diana Ross, Andra Day, and Angelina Jordan. This was her original version from the 30s.
All of me, why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I want to lose them. Take my arms, I'll never use them.
And Angelina has a few select words about this specific song.
Next song is called All of Me by Billie Holiday. My all-time inspiration, the jazz queen. And this song is very special to me. I've been listening to this song ever since I was like 3 years old, and now I'm on stage singing for all these beautiful people.
And we're hearing two different versions from Angelina. We're hearing her sing this age 12, and we're hearing her age 16 performing it live in concert. And you can see she is totally inspired by Billie Holiday.
All of me, why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you?
It's one thing to track an inspiration. It's another thing to track an inspiration of an inspiration. That's what we've done today, to understand the history and the genealogy of music and how it affects Angelina Jordan. Now how in a letter you have a PS, a postscript, an afterthought? Well, that's what we're doing today. Angelina also uses her voice to copy another instrument. Here she is with Mount Everest, copying the guitar. And as a sneak preview, I'll tell you next week's video to be published 3 p.m. UK time is called My Country is Wonderful. Let me sing about it. We will continue to focus on the world of Angelina Jordan in the future. Okay, gang, I'm out of here. I'll catch you later. Bye.